Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to request a couple more minutes to let folks kind of file in and settle in. So let's wait a couple minutes and then we'll start. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the meeting started. I know Brian Huff is on his way and Tony Taylor from the high school said he'd be late. I'd like to welcome everybody to the fourth negotiations meeting. Again, start off by recognizing Tony and Deb and appreciate their support in getting this event together and going. And then I'll just kind of go around the room and identify who's here. Mandy Taylor from Trail Ridge, Robbie Smith from Nike, Leslie Ron from the high school, Angela Hanson from Pioneer Ridge, Bev Furlong, Sunflower, Denise Russillo, Trail Ridge, Bruce Haber, Nike, Tony Taylor made it. Welcome, Tony. High school, Lana Sutton, Board of Education, Tom Redden, Board President, Greg Chapman, Board Vice President, Brian Huff, Superintendent of Schools, Amy Drogemeyer from the district office. And I'm Jody Marshall from the district office. Observing, we have Nora Smith from the high school, Jenny Adrian from Edgerton, Anna St. Pierre from Pioneer Ridge. Carrie Owing is here from Sunflower. And then, oh my gosh, I just forgot your name. Sarah, yes. Sarah's here from Wheat Ridge? Yep. And Mark Myers back there from the district office. Okay? Okay, again, welcome. The board team is prepared to provide some responses to a couple of your items, but we want to give you the floor first, Jeannie A., and defer to you. Do you want to hear a couple of more involved responses, particular to paid time off and the SPED additional workday, or do you guys want to offer something initially? I'm fine with you going first. Okay. So the board team wanted to provide a little bit more of a detailed, complete response to what has been at least a couple of your proposals about additional paid leave. And so if you'll just kind of bear with me. Whoop, I'm going to freeze this. This is our response to the additional discretionary leave proposals you'd advanced. And to Leslie's point last time we met, negotiations remain open until we've agreed upon an item or negotiations are closed out completely. So, but we do want to kind of give you a response to your leave questions and kind of make sure you fully appreciate where we stand. We respectfully decline your proposals, and I just want to outline what we think is the district's effort over the last few years to acknowledge your ask. You guys routinely ask for additional leave, and we want to make sure you understand we respectfully acknowledge that request, but we also want to point out what's been done over the last few years. You have the fewest contract days of any of the Johnson County school districts. We're at 185. We were one of the first districts to go to all discretionary leave. Now most districts have adopted some version of that. COVID days, I don't want to rehash that, but we provided more than most and we kept them longer than most. We also had the wellness days in the aftermath of COVID. And I would argue that our negotiated agreement includes a number of rollover and sellback options, and we've increased the sellback amounts because it's tied to substitute teacher pay. So that has routinely gone up. And we have consistently reduced the number of blackout days and increased the number of exemptions. And then the 12-hour conference days, we all know that you get credit for 2 contact days. So that results in 1 less contracted day you work over the course of the contract. We've averaged 5 snow days the last 3 years. We've paid for them, and they have not been made up. And if somebody had that day, for whatever reason, that snow day fell on a day they had off, it was a random day they had off, or it was part of an extended leave of absence, that's not counted against them. They get credit for that day back. We're offering to add a discretionary day this year. Flex days, they didn't exist 2 years ago. Now we're up to 4.5 flex days, and they're landed in very strategic places. Thanksgiving, if you exercise your flex days options, you have the whole week off. The Friday before winter break or Christmas break, you get out a half day early. And then the Friday before spring break. These are things the professional has control over. Work outside the contract time or the duty day, and you can know those days are yours to take off. So you can plan ahead. And then your extra duty for additional time off doesn't make complete sense to us because you're asking people to spend more of their personal time outside the duty day, time away from their family or their personal activities to accumulate more time off. That just doesn't square. Again, if that represents what your membership is asking, then that's your prerogative. And then there are certainly logistical challenges, and we shared our concerns with you when you brought it up. And then I think one of the themes has been, folks don't have enough paid time off. And that, I assume, comes in play when they have sick family members or they themselves are going through an illness or maternity leave. And I just put these up here. These are very personal options. I'm not promoting them. I'm not saying, oh, by the way, you guys should consider these things. But there are other options for staff to consider to help them deal with unpaid leave. Okay? So that's just our more formal response. We wanted you to hear it. If there's folks in the audience wanted to hear, it might look a little defensive. I don't think it does. I think it just demonstrates that we've really taken your request seriously and we've looked at other creative options to support professionals wanting a little bit more control and more time off. Any follow-up questions or reaction to that? I didn't bring copies, but I can get you a copy. Sure. Okay. So kind of a similar approach to the SPED additional contract day if you're prepared for me to go there. Okay. So we would respectfully decline this request. I will say we feel like there's some merit to it. And your survey data and some of the things we've even heard, we recognize that SPED staff, particularly our new SPED staff, would like some more time and more support. But we feel like there's other ways to address that in a better long-term approach. First of all, I think everybody shares this goal, reduce our turnover, especially with SPED, and continuity will resolve some of these issues. Continuity is good for the professional, it's good for the team, it's good for the students, it's good for the building. So we feel like continuity, just keeping our really good SPED folks will help address IEP report writing, collaboration, managing evals, re-evals. These were items that were listed on your proposal. So we just think keeping our good people, getting them to come back, they're going to be much more efficient and able to jump into things. And some of these things, I'm not saying will take care of themselves, but will get better. And then we just feel like the paperwork, documentation, reporting, it's not any more extensive than it's been in the past. I know there may be a few ads. We've got a new IEP program. You got to learn that. But IEP regulations, timelines, paperwork has not radically changed over the last 2 or 3 years. In your data, it was evident that not all the SPED teachers are taking advantage of their quarterly paperwork days. Well, let's figure out a way to help them take advantage of that option. I think we can do a better job of that. And many of the benefits that you mentioned really require them to collaborate with their colleagues, where if we add an extra day at the beginning of the year and all their Gen Ed colleagues aren't in the building, that kind of defeats the purpose. And then I think we've got a proven track record. If an individual case manager, IR teacher, specialized program teacher, SLP says, hey, stop guys, I need a break, we've always figured out a way to work with them, either get them a sub. We've actually added some days for some people based on a very specific request. So when this comes up, we can deal with it on a case-by-case basis, and we have, again, a proven record of doing so. Mark and special ed team have talked about when's a better time to bring paras in. We looked at that kind of safety training day. When we come back in January, we would argue that it's probably a better use of paras time to have them come in that first day when veteran teachers report, and that will give them an opportunity to get with their SPED teachers, SPED team, and do some program planning, get some materials ready. So we've already proposed that, and we're going to execute that. So paras will work. They'll come back the same day that veteran teachers come back. They just won't report in January for that day after winter break. Am I saying that right, Mark? Okay. So we think that time together will serve everybody involved, the SPED teams. And then we've talked to Ed Services and the special ed leadership, and we've really asked them to examine start of the year activity, whether that's welcome week for new teachers or when veteran staff show up, and how can we back out as much of the get-together stuff that we have and give it to teachers to have in their classrooms with their teams. So there's probably some opportunities to be realized there. Another option is we could just ask everybody to work 186 days. Calendar committee, again, I feel like calendar committee is I've said this many times, it's a great group, we do a great job, but are there some things, some solutions that calendar committee could look at? Should we take a PD day or work day that we've landed in the middle of the year and put it at the front of the year? We're not going to resolve that here, but I know several of the people in this room are also on calendar committee, so let's just make a mental note to bring these things up if it's a lingering issue. And as we said when you first proposed it, there's a cost associated with this. Given priorities, we'd rather put that money in the salary schedule. And then I've not heard, I don't want to suggest that certified staff are complaining or getting frustrated with special ed staff getting additional things, but each time we do something like this, it distinguishes special ed staff from general ed staff. And we have done a number of things to support our special ed staff, well-meaning, important, probably necessary, but again, it creates a distinction between the two groups of professionals. So again, we respectfully decline the request, and that's our more formal response. Questions or feedback or thoughts?
Just in the area of feedback, like one of the points you mentioned was if it was up front, it wouldn't allow that collaboration with Gen Ed because they wouldn't be on the same day. I'm just going to say part of the reason we wanted that is so that there would be time to collaborate with Gen Ed because they could have their pieces completed prior to that and then be available to collaborate with Gen Ed. So just a clarification of what our ask was and why we wanted it, where we wanted it.
That helps.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So we need a caucus, if we could, please. Could we have like 10 minutes?
Of course.
15 minutes?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll come back at about 4:30-ish.
We're going to come back and address the discretionary leave. Our original ask was we had put several pieces together. So our counter that we're going to come back with was we're going to pull those back apart and do a more traditional proposal or counter proposal. We appreciate all the detail to the response. We have some data that we'd like to share and some things that we'd like to look at as we look at our counter. And one of the things we talked about, or one of the things that was mentioned was we have 185 contract days compared to other districts. But when we looked at our base salary and did that per contract day, we are still the lowest pay per contract day, even accounting for fewer contract days. The one school that is closest to us, or the district that is closest to us, is Olathe, and one of the things that they did was give their teachers more time. When we surveyed our teachers were asking for more compensation and more time. So we want to counter with a proposal for more traditional 2 discretionary days. And part of our rationale for that is when you look at the other districts' percent of leave to their contract, we are one of the lower on there. And even in our own district, when you look at our admin contracts, there's some significant discrepancies between where teachers are and where administrators are. And we think everybody deserves leave. Nobody has an issue with that. That's just part of our rationale for our ask. If with an additional 2 days of discretionary leave, we would be more in line with the other districts. I think we would come up to 6.44% or 6.49% of our days. So that would put us in line with like DeSoto. It would put us above Shawnee Mission. We were trying to be creative and try to do some more time without it having the traditional cost to the district. But we realize it's confusing, especially with the flex days that we're adding and the path, the make your own journey flex days. So we'd like to pull back that and do a more traditional ask for 2 discretionary days, and then pull apart the extra duty and just ask for an increase on extra duty from 18 to 20. Did I say that right? That's right. Okay. So we've got the you can see it up there, but then we've also got the proposal written down for you here.
Four or five? Group 5?
Is it group 4?
Group 4?
Whatever, like, is it supervision? Okay. Yeah. Or is it?
Yeah, it's group 4.
Okay. I don't know if I have enough of those.
So let me paraphrase. The request is for 2 more discretionary days, set aside all the other things, and an increase in extra duty group 4 to $20 an hour.
Instead of 18.
Yes, we're going to pull them back apart and send them as 2 counter proposals then.
Okay. I have some questions about the data. So if you go back up at the top, would we all acknowledge that the fact that you get credit for 2 days during a 12-hour conference day, your contract's really 184? Would we agree with that?
Yes, but also digging through some of the other negotiated agreements, there were some very similar provisions in some of the other districts as well.
Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna just focus on what I know about Gardner then. That's
Okay.
184, and then we've given you another discretionary day. That's 11. So 11 plus the 1 contract day you're not working for conferences is 12 days off. That's closer to 6.6%, which is in line with some of the other districts. And do the other districts have flex days? Because you're getting 4.5 flex days, and you're saying those leave days, that's not included in the leave days. You guys know how many of these other districts, how many flex days they're getting?
I don't know the number. I do know that flex days are part of their contracts, but I don't know if we can caucus and get it, but we can go back and get that data.
Well, I guess in order for your case to make more sense to me or be stronger, it makes sense to me, guys. That was the wrong phrase. For it to be consistent, I need to know what's in there, because when we give you 11 discretionary days, we provide 11 discretionary days, and you're only and you get another day off for conferences, and you get 4.5 days for flex time. That's 16 and a half.
But a flex day is still a work day. I mean, you're still working that time, even though you're flexing
That's fair.
that time.
That's fair. But I think it demonstrates that almost every year we've done something additional relative to this request. And we're adding a discretionary day. So it sounds like we're off one discretionary day.
Yes. And just, we agree, we have done something on this every year, but we're also trying to maintain compensation and time for the people surrounding us too, and make our teacher retention as valuable or as attractive as other districts.
Yeah, I think we feel like we're prepared to address the compensation piece at some point in the process. That will make that all look better. Again, I think for us, it's analyzing, the times that teachers won't be in front of students, and again, being sensitive and giving you flexibility and control and more time off for that balance. That was largely the flex day approach. And again, to Leslie's point, you technically have to work it. It's not an hour for hour in every case, but you do have to work that time. So that's a good point. But again, it allows a professional to plan ahead and say, look, we're going skiing on spring break. We want to leave that Friday before. I can now do that. Or we want to plan something for Thanksgiving. We can take that whole week off. So I feel like even though we're not giving you, the point is we may not be giving you that extra 12th day, but we're providing other options and giving more flexibility and control to the professional.
Sorry. I wonder if it ran out of battery.
Hello? Yeah, that's there.
I do think that we need to keep flex days and discretionary days in two different discussions, primarily because a flex day, I'm having to take time away from my family and work those hours at another time so that I can have family time here. It's not really, it's giving me flexibility with when I'm working, but it's not really giving me time off.
And what I would say is one of your original proposals was for people to work extra duty during their personal evening time to get more time off. So I felt like that was something that you talked to your membership about and was a little bit of a trade-off. And you make a good point. So we'll just leave it at that. I think we'll table it and we'll consider it in our final response.
All right. I just need clarification. When we go with parent-teacher conferences, we do a 12-hour day and an 8-hour day. So that's 20 hours.
Here.
Oh, there we go again. All right, let's try this. So then it's actually 4 hours that we're shy, not a full day. Well, so if I have a 12-hour day, so if I was to work 3 days straight, it's 24. Oh, so that's what you're doing, not just on that one. I see what you're saying. Okay.
I think the rationale behind that when it started was that we understand you're doing work outside your contract time to prepare for conferences. That was part of the rationale of like, hey, we're gonna do these night and evening hours, and you're gonna have that Friday, but also some of that time we realize you're working past your hours over here.
Yeah, I don't think we would debate that, and we do think that the profession does require time to time from coming in early, staying late, so we understand that's part of it, and we want to be fair when it becomes a consistent, ongoing issue. We want to address it, but that is part of preparing for conferences or the start of the year. So we understand the ask. we'd like to table it and consider it as probably part of our final response to this and some other things. Are you guys prepared to advance some other responses or proposals?
I think we'll let, like, if you have something else to present, and then if we'll see what we go from there.
Okay,
So-
I have one more item.
Okay.
Same in paper. It is Earth Week, right?
All right, let me regroup here. Oh, boy. Okay, so this is our supplemental request. So we're requesting to add a supplemental position, high school associate wrestling coach. Be two of these positions, one for the girls and one for the boys. These wouldn't be adding really, these would be two staff members just stepping away from the assistant coaching role into this associate head coaching role. Frankly, they'd probably be doing some of the same thing. Let's just be completely candid. I've started a job description. It's about 2/3 of the way done. I will tell you, the head coach at the high school sent a 4-page proposal, so this has been thoroughly described and vetted. Discussed this with the high school leadership team, and they are in support of this, as are we. Would be placed at Group 2, which, as a comp, is where the high school football associate head coaching position is placed. And approximate additional cost would be $1,500 to $1,600 or dollars, excuse me, depending on how much we put in the base, of course. Questions about this? A response, would you be prepared to provide a response?
Are we accepting this stuff? We're not. So we're going to hold off on this one until we talk about ours. Okay. So we'd like to table that for just until we go over. We have 2 things on our supplemental components as well.
Would you like to share tonight?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is a new position for competitive cheer coach. And so we received some data from the head coach, and we calculated the hours and the things that they were having to do: summer practices, choreographing, fall practices, state prep, actual competition, regional prep, winter practices, and national prep week. And when they put down those hours there, it's 156.5 hours there. So we would like to have them have that position added. It's added on to, it's an additional supplemental, and it would be for 3 individuals, so the head coach and the 2 Rule 10 coaches, and we would like to put them at Group 6. Mm-hmm. I'll make a copy of it for you. I do, and I also have, I went ahead and did their job description for that as well. I have that done, but I just have 1 copy. So I can make you some more of those. All right, and then our last one would be, as I stated before in our previous meeting, there were 50 supplementals that currently did not have job descriptions as of August of 2024. And then we received, the middle school concession stand group 4 received a job description in October. and that was reviewed by the individuals that currently have that particular supplemental, and they were fine with everything on that particular list, but there were two things that they wanted to have either clarified and one be removed. There was one on there that said attend staff development meetings and other professional activities to improve performance. And in the 31 years I've been in the district, there's never been staff development for concession stands or professional activities, so they were unsure of that wording. And then they would like to remove the component where we're sitting there and you have to find individuals to work the concession stands, which means clubs or activities, and have a sponsor that supervises it. And there was wording put in there that says, if unable to arrange, adult supervision is needed, we'll be responsible for the supervisor for that event. So meaning the individual that actually has this supplemental would be responsible for actually working that event. And that was never the intent of this particular supplemental, for those to actually do supervise the actual work, just like it's not the intent or what they do at the high school either. There's no way with all the events that you do that that you would be able to work all those events in case you couldn't get an adult supervisor there at that particular part for that particular club. So I do have the yellow marks on this, and I do have enough copies of this one.
Angela, are you proposing changing the payment for this? If these are things that are, I don't want to call them wordsmithing, but is this something we could do outside of negotiations, or do you
Well,
feel like it
so-
so vastly changes the position that we should be looking at raising or lowering the pay?
Right, so I would say the individuals here are fine leaving it at group 4 and not costing the district any more money if that particular part is taken out. If you are wanting that particular part in, then yes, it would require them to be moved on the pay scale, because there's a
Okay.
potential of 125 extra hours because
Okay.
of the events of
Well, the
that
first
they-
statement is on all the job descriptions. It's just a canned statement. We can take it out if
Okay.
there's no chance that someone's going to go to a PD session or workshop or whatever. That's a no-brainer.
Okay,
The other things, again, if you're not proposing a change of the negotiated agreement as far as class or group or step or whatever, I'd like to think we could have resolved this outside of this, but
that's fine with me. I mean, the only thing that we're asking is if you want to leave them at group 4.
and I think you need to share with us what we have. We'll table this because I also want to talk to the high school. I think there's also standard or common accepted practice,
Right.
and I was under the impression that concession stands folks would get a sponsor to cover it. And that's how groups made money at the high school. So I probably need to seek some clarification.
Okay.
So why don't you share with Amy and I what you have, and we'll dig
Okay.
into it a little bit more.
Right,
Thank you. On the other one, on the dance one, I'm sorry, cheer. I'm not prepared to speak to all the cheer stuff and what's kind of goes into the competitive piece. So that's another one. Let us consider it, and we'll provide a response later.
Okay, so I'll make a copy of, you just want me to give you the job description I have and then the spreadsheet that I have as well?
That'd be perfect.
Okay. That's all I have on, that's all we have for supplementals.
Okay,
That's it.
that's all you have to present.
For supplementals, yes.
Okay. Do you have other things to present?
Not at this time, but like we were just going to address this issue, like this part right now. We might need more time on the others, but we were just going to concentrate on this part tonight, on the counter proposal to the discretionary leave and supplementals.
Can I go ahead and ask when you guys might have a compensation proposal?
Is this on? Yeah. We're not ready. So I'm gonna just be totally honest that we're not, like, based on how the meeting started and how our conversation has been going, the 3 things that came back on our survey that were the most important thing to well more than the majority of our respondents was money, time, and alleviating some concerns with SPED. And so today we're gonna just kind of deal with the leave aspect of it, because I personally would like a little bit of time to go and talk to every single sped teacher at the high school and get an idea of, is this even something that we should continue to pursue in terms of having a conversation about sped contract days. With all due respect, the things that we've proposed have all been very respectfully declined. And so I think at this point, we respectfully decline your compensation offer as well. And we're just gonna let you come back with something else for us on that. Because we can't go any further with this until we address the points that you brought up with what we consider to be inadequacies in leave, not meeting the needs of a very vital and important aspect of all of our schools, the sped staff. We as a team need to spend some time and go and address these concerns with our teachers, and I don't know that I know when that will happen. I don't know that I can put a date on that of 2 weeks from now, because I need to go and I'm the only one at the high school. I need to go and talk to every single person at the high school. And I think our other teachers need to go and talk to every single other teacher that they can talk to. And at this point, I don't want to just send a survey, because nobody wants to answer surveys at the end of April. I want to shake their hand, and I want to say, here's the thing that we're talking about. Here's the things that we're having a conversation about. Here's the things that are being respectfully declined. Here's the rationale behind that respectfully declining. And I want to know, is this something that you want us to keep talking about, or is this something that you want us to put aside? I'm not doing them right if I continue to talk about this. So there's the sped issue. There's the leave, which we already know that you respectfully decline, we want 1 day and now we want 2 days. We kind of know what's going to happen with that. And then we have compensation, which we haven't yet gotten to, because the other things that we've brought up have sort of been not conversations at all. So I guess what I'm saying, hopefully on behalf of the team, is I can't, at this time, I can't say 2 weeks from now we're going to have a chance to meet. I think we need to sit back as a team. We need to meet as a team next week. We need to come up with a plan for what we do next. And then we can let you know next week, here's what we think our next meeting date could be. I think we need a little bit of time.
Anybody have a response or follow-up questions? I think we can respect that position. I do think, I look around this room, veteran group of negotiators, there's a give and take, and it's difficult for us to understand what compensation would be necessary maybe to resolve some of these things if you guys don't provide an initial response. I appreciate what you're saying, Leslie. We can come back with a counteroffer and assume it's going to get close to allowing you to maybe overlook these things. And maybe your response is these are impasse things. I don't know. Again, I think we feel confident in our response to declining what we think are a couple things that have merit. We would like the opportunity to address them in a different manner this year and focus on compensation in the salary schedule, because that is going to impact some of these other things you're talking about. Putting the money into the salary schedule trickles down to so many other things, and it touches every single one of your members.
Even with the $1,500 added to the base, that will still, without any other negotiations teams across Johnson County, even yet being close to settling, even with that $1,500 on our base, it will put us in second to last instead of in dead last.
Okay, where do you guys want to be?
No, and that's the thing, is we want to be the best. We're trailblazers. We have this list of things on the wall that talk about all these things that are important to us. And in full disclosure, the reason for, and I get the sense that there's a little bit of a and I don't know that this is intentional, but I get the sense that this idea that we had about working an extra duty and then getting a leave day for that, that this was maybe something that we sort of said in jest. We were legitimately trying to come up with creative solutions, knowing that the money situation is not where any of us want it to be. Legitimately. And trying to come up with something that would be compensation-wise neutral. We're gonna get a day, we're gonna get an hour for working an hour at an event. Even if I take that leave to hire a sub to cover that 1 hour of my leave, there would be no difference in my $18 for that or paying the sub to cover me for the time that I took up. We were legitimately coming up with creative things. Respectfully decline. We go back, we come up with something else. Full disclosure also, we had several other creative solutions to that we decided, reading the room, that's not where this is gonna go, right? We're not gonna be able to go with anything else creative with that. So let's go very, very traditional, ask for some leave and ask for a $2 increase on extra duty. Negotiations is not all about compensation. And again, the three things that came up, and I said this a couple years ago, it was time and money. Well, this year it was time and money and sped. And I'm not a sped teacher, but I don't know that I can look my sped teachers in the eyes in the next couple of days if we continue this conversation right now and say, I think we did the best we could, because I don't think we did the best we could. And I think that there's a different conversation that needs to be had. A lot of the things that you brought up on that list today were things like, the workload hasn't gotten harder. Well, that may be true, but there's more kids on IEPs now than there ever had been in the past. And even if the workload hadn't gotten harder, the workload was already hard to begin with. We're making it harder by not addressing the fact that this particular job is a job that is so hard for people to maintain and to do that we're losing these educators. And we're trying to come up with something, recognizing that adding an extra day on the contract is gonna make it look different for other teachers. And then maybe other teachers are gonna think about, well, why don't we have an extra day added? We recognize that there's these further conversations that are gonna happen, but right now, the problem that we have is sped teachers leaving. The problem that we have is the stress of the caseload of sped, and trying to get me, the gen ed teacher, on August 15th, everything that I need to successfully reach the students that I have in my class. And if I'm setting up my classroom on day one of my contract, and they're setting up their classroom on day one of their contract, and trying to meet with me and all 7 other teachers that student has, it isn't the same. And so again, give us a week to meet as a team. We will come back in a week and we won't come back. We'll email you and let you know, here are some days that we think will work for our next table meeting, and then we'll go from there.
What's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting, though?
Compensation,
Okay.
sped, and leave.
Okay. And I think you made some good points, but again, if we knew $1,600 and give these other things was enough, then again, that helps us understand the parameters.
I think I just don't know that data yet, because I need my sped teachers to tell me, yeah, this is something worth fighting for, so continue to fight for us and ask for this much money. If my sped teachers come back to me and say, yeah, we can probably make do without this, then we have something else to work with. I think we just don't know that yet.
Part of sharing our response is also that we took a slightly different perspective. It's the same perspective in many ways. Our perspective was, we're focusing on base compensation. So I want to make sure that not just your sped teachers, everybody understands that's our highest priority because of the reasons I just shared. And if you got the impression that we were making fun of your proposals or didn't take them seriously, I apologize for that. That was not the intent. We didn't ask you to do those creative things. You did it, assuming that it might help with the bottom line. We're grateful for that. I don't know that we need you to do some of those things. We need to understand what the compensation is. And, oh, by the way, it also includes another day off and another day for sped, or, you know what, you pay us this much and we can smooth this over.
Pass the mic. Here you go.
Just so that there's a clear understanding for when we are back in the room. So we've put some counter proposals out there on the agenda. Is that going to be part of the conversation first, and then we lay out a proposal? What is the expectation for the next time we're all in the same room?
Well, I'm not going to make any promises because we haven't had a chance to visit about what you've shared tonight, but the supplementals I'm confident we can make a response to. And, you know, Leslie's comments give us some things to think about for time off and leave. You know, I think, again, just so the audience understands, our priority has been compensation and protecting benefits. The SPED thing, I feel like I've got a pretty good perspective on special ed, so I understand the workload, the commitments, and what we've done to support SPED over the last 10 years. So everything you said is true, Leslie, but we believe there are other ways to address that, and an additional day may or may not be part of that plan, but we'll take it under further advisement. So for the record, and when we share this out, you guys are going to take up to a week, and then you're going to contact me and Deb and ask about dates to have the next meeting.
Yeah, next week we will send you an email with several date options, and then you can decide.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys need?
I don't think at this time, but we will let you know.
Well, again, everything's still on the table.
Yeah.
I would ask that if you're going to come back with your comparison to the other districts, I'd respectfully ask somebody to dig into flex days, conference days, if there are any other bells and whistles in sellback and rollover. I want the whole story, so we can make sure it's apples to apples, guys. Please.
I'm just going to say I think the one thing that's not apples to apples are the flex days. I don't think they're the same as leave. But we will definitely see what sellback looks like, what rollover looks like.
Thank you.
I think we did look into what they're called. One district does have, I think one of our proposals was looking at things as paid time off. I think Blue Valley, I think, has leave, and it rolls over and it's leave.
There's a paid time off. I know their verbiage changed.
Okay.
I know that happened. So.
When I looked at the negotiated agreement, it matched ours kind of as far as how it was used.
Okay. Don't forget this. Oh, thank you. Right. Thank you. All right.
All right. Anybody else have any other comments, questions, final thoughts? Okay, this will conclude the meeting. Thanks for everyone's time.